Guys, welcome back to the channel, and today is going to be an awesome game. I've met up with Luke and he's brought his Tyranids. They are fantastically painted and they are facing off against the Blood Angels. It's 1850 points, it's cleanse and control. So this Imperial planet has been ravaged time and time again by the Tyranids. There is not a lot remaining, but the Blood Angels have been sent in to claim some key intel. Biker squad, a Predator and a Land Raider are rolling out, scouting the field to find the objectives, ready to call down the main Blood Angel strike force. The sun not quite in the sky, dawn is breaking, the light is low, but the Blood Angels are rolling forward across the city to grab the intel before the Tyranids annihilate everything. So this is objective marker 2. This is number 1. We've got number 3 near the center, number 4 in this building, number 5 next to this ammo dump, and number 6 on top of this building. Right guys, so here it is, 1850 of Blood Angels. We're running a Baal strike force, and the commander today, or the warlord, is going to be the Librarian Dreadnought. He has Blood Lance and Fear the Darkness, and of course Quickening and Force. He is the HQ choice. The mandatory elite choice is the Furioso Dreadnought with a heavy flamer and frag cannon. And the first of the troop choices is Cassor the Damned. Them 3 are riding, of course, in drop pods. We've got 2 more troop selections of 2 10-man tactical squads, each with a melter and a heavy flamer, both riding in drop pods there, of course. We've got a 6-man unit of Terminators, all armed with lightning claws, and Sergeant Steve is making another appearance. They're riding up in a Land Raider Redeemer with the Flamestorm cannons and of course a multi-melter on top. We've also got a Baal Predator with Dozer Blades, Stormbolt, assault cannons and heavy bolters. And then we have the Fire Raptor. It's been a while since it's been out. It usually gets cut down to hive crones. So let's see if Luke can cut it down, but today it is armed with the auto cannons. Right, so here we go. Here is Luke's 1850 of Tyranids. He's running a dual CAD. He has a Hive Tyrant, of course with wings and Twin Link Devourers. This guy has Warp Blast and Paroxysm, and the 2 troops might expose, but he is using them as Mucilid. The second card consists of a Flying Hive Tyrant with Twin Link Devourers. He has the Horror and Paroxysm. And the troop choice is the 10-man Gaunt unit and another Mucilid. Second HQ for that is the Turbogon. She has Crushing Claws and her site of power was Paroxysm. The rest of that card is filled out with an Exocrine, a Malanthrope, 2 Hive Crones and 2 Trigon Primes. There's a couple of flamers or upgrades on those. This is going to be fruitful. There's a lot of monsters there. I hope I can get through them fast enough. This guy is the Warlord, and Luke's Warlord trait, he can discard his first hand of cards. So as it stands, the Blood Angels are going first. It is night time, but do the Tyranids seize the initiative on the roll of a 6? Come on, Luke. Oh, and a 1, which means that's Blood Angels turn 1. That's Blood Angels turn 1. I've drew secure objective 3, Aerial Assault and Kingslayer. Aerial Assault and Kingslayer, that's going to be difficult. The only thing that can score Aerial Assault is the Fire Raptor, and Kingslayer, it's going to be hard to kill a Tyrant from this range. So 3 pods dropping in. The Death Company pod with Cassor the Damned has leapt at that side. He's going to hopefully be able to take on the Exocrine or the Turbogon, maybe the Malanthrope, if Luke puts his flyers up in the air. Meanwhile, down here we've got the Furioso Dreadnought with that frag cannon and the heavy flamer, going to be cutting through some gaunts. We've also got the Librarian Dreadnought here in the psychic phase. He managed to get off Force, and I did get off Quickening, but Luke managed to stop it. He's emerged from this pod. This pod was scattering back quite a bit. Meanwhile, the Baal Predator and the Land Raider pushing forward, not the full distance. Maybe I should have, as this guy does have Crushing Claws. We'll have to see what we do in the shooting phase though. Right, so in the shooting phase for the Blood Angels, not too good. Firepower from the Land Raider, the Baal Predator, The Storm Bolters and the Librarian Dreadnought tried to damage the Turbogon, and not a single wound was lost. Luke passing a lot of cover saves and a lot of armor saves there from the few wounds that were inflicted. Death Company Dreadnought casts all the damned hiding underneath there. Fearless there he is, shot into the Malanthrope and nothing was done. The Bikers have turbo boosted forward, so not a lot of damage for the Blood Angels, but the Dreadnoughts are leading the charge and they are going for the monsters next turn. Can the Tyranids rip apart some of the Dreadnoughts? Can the Dreadnoughts weather the storm and get a charge off? Let's find out in Tyranids Turn One. Tyranids Turn One, Luke has drew Secure Objective 1 twice, and he's drew Secure Objective 3. His Warlord trait allows him to discard his first hand. Bearing in mind Secure Objective 1 is in my deployment zone and 3 is surrounded by a Drop Pod, Land Raider and Baal Predator. Yeah, he chose to discard it. So he's drew Assassinate, Secure Objective 2 and Supremacy, and he's got a plan. He's done his movement. This Hive Tyrant has pulled back to shoot Cast All the Damned in the backside. He's probably going to go. This Hive Crone is staying in hover mode to secure Objective 6 towards Supremacy. And down here he spawned 14 Gaunts. 14 altogether. Yeah, and they're going to obsec that objective in the middle away from these Dreadnoughts. And another bad thing for me, the Hive Tyrant took to the air and is going to shoot the Furioso in the backside as well. Armor 10 on the rear of the Dreadnought, strength 6 Devourers. It's not going to be pretty at all. Meanwhile, the Hive Crone across here is potentially going for Objective Marker 2, again towards Supremacy. And then obviously these guys are going to obsec that, and that's going to be 3 to my 1 if Luke manages to get that off. In the Psychic phase, Turbogon cast Catalyst on himself and the Warlord Hive Tyrant, so they're going to be even harder to shift. Let's see what the Tyranids can do though in the shooting phase, and I'm expecting a Dreadnought or 2 to go down here. Right, so the Hive Tyrant taken to the air behind Castle the Damned, levelled these Devourers and shot Castle's rear armour to pieces, causing them to fall to the ground. Castle the Damned is slain, ready to rise under the day, scoring Luke Assassinate. Meanwhile over here, the Exocrine got mega lucky and managed to explode the drop pod on that all-important penetration roll of a 6, exploding in his face, but he simply shrugged it off. Down here, Brother Astromale has been slain, again thanks to the Devourers on that Warlord Hive Tyrant. He is going to be nasty to deal with. Meanwhile over here, the Hive Crone ran and is going to secure Luke Objective 2. So Luke actually scores Assassinate, First Blood, Secure Objective 2 and D3 for Supremacy. Luke, how many do you score? Wow, 3 points puts Luke immediately on 6 to my 1. The Blood Angels need to make their mark, and fast. Right, so Blood Angels Turn 2. I have drawn Secure Objective 6. The Hive Crone is on it. I need to take her down. But for reserves, I've got 2 drop pods with 10-man tactical squads in. Both in, and the Fire Raptor, come on, is in. That is going to be pivotal. So the Fire Raptor has come screeching on. Now, Mauler Bolt Cannon on the front is staring at the Hive Tyrant Warlord, along with the missiles. 1 auto cannon is going to be going at this Hive Crone. The other one, unfortunately, not in the firing arc of this guy. He is on the ground though. I tried to get my drop pods as close up to these guys as I could, and unfortunately get an 11 and a 10-inch scatter back on both of them. Unfortunately, boxing in not only the Land Raider but the Baal Predator. The Land Raider moved its full 12. The Librarian Dreadnought moved to within an inch of the Gaunt, and the idea is the 2 heavy flamers, this one first, then this one, will hopefully kill enough of the Gaunts to allow that Librarian in at that Turbogon. The Bikers, meanwhile, passing the dangerous terrain checks, are going for this Hive Crone with some support from these Marines. There's going to be a lot of Storm Bolter fire coming in. I'm hoping that the weight of fire alone is going to be able to do a little bit of damage. Right, so in the shooting phase, these guys unloaded. The heavy flamers managed to cull a handful of the gaunts, allowing the librarian that charge range in at the Turbogon if he wishes. The bolted marines lending support fire there. The melter guns and the bolted marines from this side, one of the melters out of range. With firepower from the bikers, have dropped this hive crone to just 2 wounds. Firepower from the Baal Predator and the auto cannon on this side of the Fire Raptor laid into this guy and did nothing. The storm bolters on the drop pods all targeted this hive crone, but we just could not bring him down. The main gun, however, on the front of the Fire Raptor targeted that hive tyrant in the air. Luke failing 2 armor saves, or 2 jinks rather, and 2 feel no pains, but passing his grounding check. I needed him to fail to let the librarian charge in. It's worth noting in the sight phase that the librarian did get off force and quickening and suffered a hull point with perils, unfortunately. So if I charge this Turbogon, I'm going last. He's got crushing claws and only 3 attacks, so can I survive? That is not going to be pretty, but if I do, and I manage to wound him and kill with force on, that's going to be an absolute saving grace for me. Let's see what we can do though in combat. Alright, so combat, the Blood Angels here charged in at the hive crone, and thanks to Furious Charge managed to cut it down, not before the wings swept 2 of the bikers aside. So that is going to score me objective 6. Meanwhile down here, I thought long and hard about it. Did the librarian go for the Turbogon? Bearing in mind he's got electroshock grubs and crushing claws and going first. I decided against it and went after the gaunts and actually managed to kill them, so he will get to consolidate. But I don't score anything else besides it. I don't get aerial assault, I don't get Kingslayer. Do I keep aerial assault? Because this is the only guy that can get it, but he's also the only thing that can kill him unless he goes down. He is on 2 wounds though, which is good. Do I keep both or do I discard the cards in the hope of getting something else? Let's have a think. Tyranids Turn Two and Lucas drew no prisoners, secure objective 3 and behind enemy lines. Objective 3 is behind the Blood Angel lines. It's going to be difficult for him to get that, as it is behind enemy lines as well. The end of the movement phase, he spawned, was it 12 gaunts? But unfortunately she doubled out. The Exocrine has pushed forward, so he's going to lose that +1 ballistic skill, but he's going to drop a nice pie player on those Marines. Not nice for me. This guy has leapt up here and is probably looking to take that bike out. That's going to be an easy point for no prisoners, we think. But the best thing ever, the Fire Raptor survived the Vector Strike. He had 100% kill rate against Hive Crone's Vector Strike. Luke managed to roll 3 Vector Strikes and not a single hull point of damage was done. But he's now got fire coming in from those haywire missiles, and the Hive Tyrant is also there as well. In the sighted phase, he managed to get off Paroxysm on the Fire Raptor, and unfortunately the Fire Raptor is now hitting on 5s, lost 2 ballistic skill. So it looks as though the Blood Angels are going to take heavy casualties this turn, but we've got a Land Raider filled with Lightning Core Terminators there. But as you can see, Luke is pulling back away from them. Tyranids are laying waste to the Blood Angels. The Hive Tyrant here slew the lone biker. Meanwhile, the Exocrine has decimated this tactical squad. 1 guy survived, and the few gaunts here tried to kill him to get 3 units for Luke. But unfortunately, he passed his armor save and his morale check. So not too shabby shooting from the Exocrine. Meanwhile, the electroshock grubs from the Turbogon, another hull point from the Librarian, and a single hull point on the drop pod. Over here though, the Hive Tyrant totally forgot he's actually snap firing, and this guy with 2 haywire missiles. He did 1 hull point with haywire missiles and a single hull point with the Devourers. I elected not to jink, because if I shoot at a ground target, I would still be hitting on 4s. That's with the -2 paroxysm, +1 for strafe and run. So I'm hoping to come across, potentially get rid of the Malanthrope, hopefully. But we shall have to see what happens. Meanwhile, in the assault phase, We've discussed now, I think Luke is going to risk the charge here. I've got 8 attacks, was it? 8 attacks because I've still got quickening off. 4 base thanks to the errata, +1 for 2 close combat weapons, +3 for quickening. I've got 8 attacks. I could kill the Tervagon, but Luke is going to chance it because he only has to have a single hull point to kill that Librarian Dreadnought. That will also get him Slay the Warlord. Right, so just for ease of moving models, we haven't quite piled the Tervagon in. It was brutal. 8 attacks, I hit with 6. I wounded with 5, so I wasn't killing him. And then he passed 2, feel no pain. So the Tervagon is only on 3 wounds. Not bad. However, Luke swung back with 4 attacks with 2 hits. Armor Bane, Armor 13, and he has cut the Librarian Dreadnought in half. So he falls into the back of the ruins, scoring the 3rd unit for no prisoners, plus Slay the Warlord. So Luke, how many points do you get for no prisoners? Just the 1. Still, that's 8 points to Luke, to my 2. Wow. Right, so with the score being 8-2, I seriously need to bring it back. I got Kingslayer, Objective 2 and Objective 1, and I could have gone for both of these, but I've decided to try and do some damage instead. So, the Baal Predator is spun round. This guy has 2 wounds left and he doesn't have feel no pain. I've just got to get lucky to bring him down. With Stormbolt fire from the drop pods and this tactical squad, I'll hopefully get enough damage in. These guys are going to lend firepower to try and kill the Gaunts across the front of the Terminators. They've leapt out of the Land Raider. The Land Raider pushing round to the side, and they're going to try and charge the Exocrine and take it down. The Fire Raptor, of course, hurtling forward. He's going to be hitting on 4s against the ground targets, straight into that Malanthrope. So hopefully we can do a reasonable amount of damage, but we'll have to see. We've got no Psychers, so let's move straight on to shooting. What a turn of shooting for the Blood Angels. Targeting this guy up in the sky. The Baal Predator doing a single wound with a Ren from that assault cannon. Everything poured in. This tactical squad, the drop pods, and even the assault cannon and multi-melter from the Land Raider. The multi-melter got a wound. He jinked and he managed to pass it, and then it was down to the grounding test, and Luke passed the grounding test. He's on 1 wound. I need to bring this guy down, and fast. Meanwhile, across here, the Fire Raptor, of course, came in and absolutely splattered the Malanthrope, and Power the Machine Spirit on that Flamestorm cannon managed to torch a number of the Gaunts, and the guys here managing to bring a couple of them down. The Heavy Flamer cutting across the path of the Terminators into the ruins and slaying 3 more. That is it for shooting. Not as good as we might have hoped, but not too shabby. We've now got the Terminators are going to charge in at the Exocrine. So yeah, I thought I had this. Thought a couple of shots, 6s to hit, 2s to wound, 5 in run. I'll probably lose 1, maybe 2. But then I'll make the charge, and with Furious Charge, 4 attacks each between 6 of them, I reckon I could have killed the Exocrine. But guess what? Nope. I rolled a 4 for me charge. This guy at the side being 4.5 inches away. So at the end of my turn, I don't score a single thing. This is going to be an uphill struggle. The Blood Angels, have they bitten off more than they can chew? Let's find out what happens in Tyranids Turn 3. So, Turn 3 for the Tyranids. Lucas drew Big Game Hunter, Blood and Guts, and Behind Enemy Lines. And the 2 out of 3 of the Mucolids are in. Right, so the movement phase. The Tervagon has pulled sideways. She's going to flame that with the Electroshock Grubs and probably do a whole point to the Land Raider as well. And then she's hoping to kill it in combat for Big Game Hunter. Meanwhile, across here, the Hive Tyrant has done Warp Lance in the Psychic phase on the rear armour of the Baal Predator there. And fortunately, the Baal Predator is now snap firing. The Mucolids have dropped in here for Behind Enemy Lines. And the Hive Crone is looking to circle back round, probably looking for this guy. Meanwhile, the other Hive Tyrant, he's looking to circle back round as well. He's probably still going to shoot back into the side armour of the Baal Predator. He is snap firing thanks to jinking though. So, that is it for the Psychic and movement phase. I'm expecting something nasty shooting coming here with that pie plate from the Exocrine. Absolutely devastating round of shooting for the Tyranids there. This guy with the Twin-Link Devours managed to wreck the Baal Predator. Meanwhile, the Hive Crone and the snap-firing Hive Tyrant targeted the Fire Raptor. The Fire Raptor had to jink for them haywire missiles. Luckily, we managed to pass all of them. So no damage done to the Fire Raptor. However, this guy, the Tervagon, should later electroshock grubs across the drop pod, targeting the Land Raider. Not only did she pen and then explode the drop pod, she actually penned and immobilized the Land Raider. Absolutely critical blow to the Blood Angels there. Meanwhile, the pie plate from the Exocrine, Luke targeted straight in the centre, hoping to get the Terminators and the whole tactical squad. Unfortunately, it did scatter, but cutting 3 of the Marines down. So they do need a morale check. Leadership 8. Oh, what do you know, the run. And they're running 7 inches. Going into combat, I think she's probably going to go for the Land Raider. It's a bit of a long charge, and she's also only strength 6, but she does have armor bane. Can she kill and explode the Land Raider? Let's find out. It's turn 4 for the Blood Angels. We've got Kingslayer and Objective 2, and I've just drew Swift Advance. Luke has to nominate 2 objectives for me to score. So he's picked this one, number 6, and number 2 right over there. So yeah, that's not happening. Movement phase, the Land Raider is immobilized. The Fire Raptor has dropped to hover mode to hopefully take out the Tervagon and in turn the Gaunts. These guys are pushed around and hopefully going to take out the Exocrine, and the Marines kind of moving around slightly. This guy has 1 wound, so everything is going to be firing at him. Everything. Yeah, let's see what we can do to try and pull it back a little bit before those Trigons come on. It's a super quick round for the Blood Angels there. All of the bolt of fire and the Land Raider poured into the Warlord here on 1 wound. Nothing at all was done. The Fire Raptor managed to get a single wound off the Tervagon, not killing her unfortunately, but the Land Raider Redeemer's Flamestorm Cannon killed a couple more Gaunts. The only other thing that happened is the Terminators came in and sliced apart the Exocrine with those Lightning Claws at strength 5 with Shred. So they only consolidated an inch, which means they're now in the open to take damage from these guys. Yeah, I don't score any points again, and I'm going to discard, thanks Phil, Swift Advance. Right, Tyranids Turn 4. Lucas drew Ascendancy, Overwhelming Firepower, and Blood and Guts, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to get most of these. Both of the Morlocks and the other Mucolids are coming in from reserve. So both Morlocks have landed up here. There's a host of Marines here. There's a lone guy by himself. There's a unit of 2 and a unit of 5. Between the Spine Banks or whatever they're called from the Trigon Primes, the Twin-Link Devourers, and the Flamer Templar from this guy, yeah, there's going to be a lot of damage coming in from these Marines. And there's also down here, I'm on 2 hull points. He's going to flame us, and then he's going to charge. So that's probably going to get Luke Blood and Guts. Ascendancy spread out. This guy is on that objective. These guys are on this one. And the Hive Tyrant is on that one. So Luke is going to score big points if he can kill the Fire Raptor in combat, and if he can kill 3 units in the shooting phase, which those Marines are looking very tasty. The Tyranids are eating the Blood Angels for breakfast here. The Spine Banks from these guys killing the 2 Marines that were at the top and the lone Marine. This guy managed to vector strike the drop pod in the movement phase and managed to get a single penetrating hit on the drop pod. The Flamer in turn killed 1 of the Marines. Meanwhile, this Hive Tyrant leveled these Devourers, got 11 wounds, but the power armor of the Marines keeping 2 of them alive. So we've got a charge or 2 to make. I think the Tervagon is going to go for the drop pod. Not the drop pod, the Land Raider, and I think that Spore Mine. Can it charge? It can't charge, but it's not looking good for the 5th turn of the Blood Angels. There's only really the Terminators at effective fighting strength at the moment. Right, so that was a failed charge from the Tervagon. However, Luke does score Ascendancy and Overwhelming Firepower for killing 3 units. That's another 2d3, and he's already on 10. So 2d3, Luke. another 4 points. Right, it's turn 5. I've still got Kingslayer, objective 2, and I've just drew objective 6. It's not looking good for the Blood Angels. We've done the entire turn. Basically, the Marines and the drop pods and the Land Raider tried to take out the Tervagon, and she's left on 1 wound because she's got feel no pain. The only other thing that happened is these guys charged in and, of course, tore apart the Trigon Prime. But going into turn 5, I can see what's going to happen. This Mucilid's probably going to go here, kill the Marines. We've then got all the dice shooting attacks from these two, and of course charging in at them. The Land Raider, yep, there's a vector strike coming from the Hive Crone. It's got a missile left, I think, and that guy has electroshock grubs. It's not looking good. Let's see what happens in turn 5. And that is it. It is over. The Tyranids have annihilated the Terminator squad. Fire from these two guys and the Flamer from the Hive Crone and firing from the Gaunts took down the Terminators, their armour caving to the weight of shots from the Tyranids. We lost a single Marine here when the Mucilid charged in, but the Tervagon made a mess of that Land Raider, doing another hull point with electroshock grubs, and then charging in, auto-hitting because of immobilised, and unfortunately blowing it up. The Hive Tyrant down here, Luke did draw secure objective 2 twice, so that's another 2 victory points. And of course the Mucilids down here scoring line breaker. We're going to call the game there. I've got a single Marine and 3 drop pods left. It has been brutal. I'm sure you'll agree that Luke's Tyranids are fantastically painted. I love the glossy effect. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but they are very, very nice. It's been a pleasure playing Luke. It's fantastic to be back at Warhammer World, but today the Blood Angels do not win. The score is 17-2. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.